Ho ho ho, and welcome to the Jimmy Eats Brain Show, your hub for everything horror. This is my channel where I try to make sure you guys have a chilling experience every single time by giving you great reviews, recommendations, and more horror discussions. Please like and subscribe if you guys like this type of content. Today, I'm going to be bringing you guys a review of the family dysfunction fairy tale folklore mashup, Krampus, the 2015 version. So, the Christmas movies that I'm reviewing on my channel this month, I've been watching them with my dad just to spend some extra time with him around the holiday season. He's a big fan of true crime, so horror kind of overlaps for us sometimes, and I thought he might want to watch some of these with me, so that's how we're doing it. He did not like watching Black Christmas at all whatsoever, not dad approved, so I let him watch a couple trailers and pick out which one he liked. He chose Krampus, and so I was really excited going into this film just because he was really excited. I really like watching horror movies with people who are also really excited about them. I also watched the trailer and I had no clue that the movie that he picked out had Toni Collette in it. He has no idea who Toni Collette is, but she's literally one of my favorite actresses, probably my favorite actress that's doing work right now. Also, if you guys love watching horror movies with either your family or your friends or maybe your significant other, let me know who your favorite person to watch horror movies with is and why. And with that out of the way, let's just get into the synopsis. So the synopsis for this movie: while the holiday season represents the most magical time of the year, ancient European folklores warn of Krampus, a horned beast that punishes naughty children at Christmas time. When dysfunctional family squabbles cause young Matt to lose his festive spirit, it unleashes the wrath of the fearsome spirit. And as Krampus lays his siege on the families, they must learn to put aside their differences in order to survive through the holidays. That out of the way, let's just get into it. Getting into the first couple acts of this movie, there is a lot of comedy. I really enjoyed that part about this film. We follow the two families converging over holiday to spend time together, and obviously that is a great start for some comedy. The two families are both stereotypical kind of white American families. One of them is of kind of higher upper middle class, and one of them is of lower middle class. One of them is really into sports, and the other one is really into like their careers and school. I found the characters really interesting from the get-go. Specifically, the way that their scripts were made to interact were very believable for me. Me and my dad laughed out loud multiple times during this film. There was one specific line where a kid burps at the dinner table and the dad screams out, "That's my boy," and I think that literally happened at one of our family gatherings before. So we both thought that was super funny. There was lots of scenes like that of just the two families kind of butting heads, trying to get along over the Christmas season, and it was just hysterical. Not to mention that this has some famous actor, I don't know his name, but he's a comedy actor. Has a couple of comedy actors in it. Both of the dads in the families, one of them was in Step Brothers. Immediately there's some creepy stuff going on. There is like a sketchy grandma who speaks another language. And I'm not trying to say that people who speak other languages are sketchy, but she speaks a foreign language and doesn't talk very much, and when she does say things, it's very mysterious and eerie. And we kind of automatically get the idea that she's foreshadowing something's going to happen. So the visiting family is absolutely atrocious, though. That he's got like two brat kids. He has two girls that are really into sports, and there's like talks about him wishing his kids were boys, and there's a couple of political things happening in this film. One of them, they talk a little bit about gun violence and stuff. Not gun violence, but one family doesn't want to talk about guns, the other family does want to talk about guns, and kind of some very realistic political discussions that may be brought up. And I found these points really believable and kind of horrifying. I think we've all sat at a kitchen table with some family members that we're not super comfortable around and talked about some stuff that we're not super comfortable talking about. I think a lot of people can relate to that. And that was something about this film that I thoroughly enjoyed, and it hit right on the head. The scripting was accurate and believable. We see some of the children go out in a snowstorm, and it leads to them not coming back. This is where things kind of go awry. Soon after that, the lights go out due to the snowstorm, and this is when things really start to pick up for this film. The comedy really carries you up to this point, and I found myself not bored at all through the first 35 minutes of this film, even though we didn't really see anything that would make you even believe that this could be a horror film. Up until this point, it really just felt like a feel-good Christmas comedy. Also, there's an alcoholic aunt in this that's absolutely hilarious. I kind of love her. Some of the children end up going missing, and we see a bit of panic from the families. There's one problem that I had with this. The way that the children have to go missing is no way believable or important to the plot. It was completely only done this way because they needed one of the characters to be able to go missing. And this is something that I don't like to pick apart in films, but it was really blatant in this. They let like a 14-year-old girl go off in a snowstorm to walk to her boyfriend's house. I don't think most 14-year-old girls were even allowed to go over their boyfriend's house like knowingly, unattended. Maybe I'm like off on the age of what this girl is supposed to be, but it was like kind of weird for me. I didn't really buy into it, and I automatically knew something bad was gonna happen. Maybe that was intended and it was supposed to be like the seed of dread being planted. I don't know. Things like that kind of don't work for me in films. Let me know down below if you find these kinds of small plot holes really destructive to the plot. I find it really easy, especially when I'm going in and watching a horror film, to kind of put that into the back of my head and try to go along for the ride. Let me know if you've ever had this happen in another film and had it ruined for you, because that kind of happened for me here, but there's some good stuff that happens later that makes up for it. So wait. When the girl ends up going missing, the dads of the family go out and look for her. On this escapade, they realize that there's something up, something is not right. They go to the boyfriend's house and there's like a mess. It's kind of weird. They come back, they tell the family, and this is when things get crazy. This is when I want to put my spoiler warning. Before you watch this video any further, I want you to know that there's going to be spoilers for the main plot points and ending of this film going forward. If you haven't seen this film or you don't want it to be spoiled, I would recommend you to click out of this video, maybe go check out some of my other stuff, or go check out this movie and then come back, because I do really enjoy this film, so I would recommend it to you guys. So you might want to click out. This is when things get crazy. I'm just gonna sum it up real quick for you guys, but there is like a crazy killer Jack-in-the-Box. There are crazy fucking ninja gingerbread men that are... This movie at this point takes a turn from a mystery killer Christmas kind of comedy drama mashup to a hardcore fairy tale folklore story. I mean, and it's fantastic. There are CGI Jack-in-the-Box monsters. There are CGI gingerbread ninjas. Yeah, you heard me right. CGI gingerbread ninjas. It's fucking crazy. You guys truly need to see this movie. If you like Christmas horror or fairy tale folklore type stories, this thing is crazy. The CGI on these creatures is like, I don't know what the budget for this movie was, but they did the perfect amount of prosthetic work and CGI on them. I read in some other reviews that people had a problem with there being so much plastic masks being used in the story, but I think for the folktale specific story, it really works, because I think that mask wearing is like pretty prevalent in like specifically storytelling, which I think makes it work for this type of genre, because it is a folktale or a fairy tale or folklore, whatever you want to call it. I thought that wasn't really true for this film. I really enjoyed that aspect. It really worked for me. There was a tree topper angel that like comes to life and attacks people, and it's like fucking terrifying, dude. I really enjoyed this film. I really enjoyed the monsters, and my dad fucking loved this film. He loved this. I heard him later the night after we watched this, talking to my mom about it, telling her about it. He liked it so much. If you have some family or friends that don't usually love horror films, or they're willing to maybe watch something horror genre around the Christmas time with you, I would definitely pop this one in and watch it with someone who maybe doesn't love horror. I almost think it's weird calling this movie a horror, because I don't even know if there's any blood in this film. If there is, it's very little. This film's PG-13. This is the best PG-13 horror film I've seen this year. I mean, I saw Get Out last year, so that doesn't count. But this film is like crazy. I really enjoyed it. If you guys are looking for something to watch cheap online for Christmas and that's horror centric, this is $3 to rent for 2 days. I have like the Dish, which kind of sucks. I know a lot of people don't have Dish, but it was $3. I would totally recommend it. So my one problem with this film would be the ending. It has a horrendous way of coming to an end. I don't know why people still do this in films. It doesn't seem to make any sense. Critics and filmmakers know that it's not received well, but he wakes up at the end and it was a dream. Spoiler alert. I know, I just told you this movie was amazing, and then I'm telling you that that's how it ends. I had a problem with this a little bit. I kind of realized that there probably wasn't much, there wasn't a great way to end this film, so I try not to take away from it for it. Plus, the characters and the script were so well done that I don't want to take too much away from it, because I think those things are so hard to do, specifically in the horror Christmas genre. It's so niche, so it's hard to nail those simplistic things that if they, screw something up as far as the last 10 minutes of the film, I can forgive that. The last thing that I wanted to talk about was the sound design for these creatures. They do this really horrifying thing where they put like jingle bell sounds and just like sounds that you would associate with Christmas and sleighs and stuff, and they use them in conjunction with these creatures to like, it's just truly terrifying, and it takes you to a different place that horror films usually can't go, especially when you're talking about Christmas horror movies. It's really hard to make the Christmas aspects overlap with the horror aspects instead of just making it a piece of the stylization. And this movie did that. The horror was the Christmas stuff. It wasn't a horror movie that was Christmas styled like most of them are. And that's where I think this really is different than most horror Christmas movies. And that's why I would say this is probably my favorite horror Christmas movie of all time. And I would definitely recommend checking it out. My dad would recommend people check it out. And if any of you guys are checking out any of these films that I'm recommending over the holiday month, please let me know what you guys thought about them down below. As always, I would love to hear any of your guys' opinions on any of the films that I watched. So make sure, if you guys want to talk to me about these films, leave a comment down below on this video. I get back to every single one of you guys, okay? And I love to hear from you. I also wanted to say that please share this video. It's the best way to get it out to other people. Post it on your Facebook, post it on your social media. Show it to other people so we can get this out to as many horror fans as we can. As always, guys, thank you so much for coming and spending this time with me. Stay creepy and stay tuned, and I'll see you guys in the next one.